Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Friday stream. Happy weekend, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day out there. A great Friday. I started my day off with some yoga. I thought about trying to squeeze in a swim, but I didn't. So I'm just here. I feel like I'm looking very pale and so pale. I guess that's why women wear makeup, huh? You look sick. Are you sick? You look tired. Okay, anyways, I want to thank Female Hysteria for suggesting today's topic. As always, anyone who has any topic suggestions, articles, ideas, themes, etc., that you want to hear about, always feel free to contribute that. Really helps me out a lot because then I don't have to come up with something myself. And also, yeah, I know my hair does look very dark in this light. It's also super dirty. So that was another thing with swimming. I usually only wash my hair when I go swimming, and I haven't been swimming since Monday. So it's getting there. It's getting a little 1990s grunge Grease fest happening. But anyways, yeah. So hello, Female Hysteria, and thank you again for the suggestion for the stream today. And like I said, anyone who has any topics you want to hear about, suggestions for streams and stuff, always feel free to let me know. This is your space as much as mine. And yeah, it's great to have everybody here. Irene, Existential, of course, Expired Milk. It's raining so much, the street lights are on in the middle of the day and my brain thinks it's 8 p.m. I kind of like when that happens. Hi, Daisies. And hello, Van. First time making it live. Everybody welcome Van. Thank you for joining us. Existential says, I only wash my hair every third day because it's dry. I kind of have greasier hair, but it's still better to not wash your hair every day or even every other day. But anywho, I think we'll get into the article unless anyone has anything else they want to mention before we get started. Female Hysteria is hyped for this topic. And hello, Green Emerald. Time to learn about Twitch. Yeah. Who here knows anything about Twitch? Who here has ever been on Twitch? I go on there a little bit here and there just to kind of see what the kids are watching. Twitch, to me, the female area of Twitch is not so much about gaming as it is about softcore pornography. And the male side of Twitch is its like own thing. It's kind of oddly segregated on there as far as I've seen. Irene, you know about Twitch, where my gamer girl is at. All right. So let's share the article. Existential says, I'm a gamer and I hate Twitch personally. Female Hysteria says, I don't know anything about Twitch, but my bestie soulmate reports drama to me. I like watching Twitch. Mostly I just watch Minecraft stuff. I guess if you have a specific game that you like, just getting to see different people play it. Sometimes I've gone on there and there are people who, I mean, they have a live audience of like 55,000 people and they're just kind of sitting there doing essentially nothing. And you're like, how? Like, it's not even entertaining. Like, how? Right? Okay. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Pokimane. That's how you pronounce her name, not Pokimane. It's a play on Pokemon, the game, obviously. And she is a streamer who has been on Twitch and YouTube for quite a long time. Pretty famous, makes a living at it. Yeah. Oh, Expired Milk says, one streamer I found on YouTube posts her Twitch streams here, and I was caught off guard when she started advertising her OnlyFans at the end of videos. Ophelia says, Twitch never interested me. I'd rather play games myself and then watch someone else play. I kind of agree, personally. Unless it's a game I really enjoy and I want to see, like, you know, I've watched a lot of like Hitman videos and stuff, mostly on YouTube, but I hear the female streamers who don't want to be cam girls get hated on for wanting to play video girls and not be cam girls. And hello, Useless Strawberry. Welcome. All right, so let's get into it. This is actually not an article, it's an interview. So last week we did the Elliot Page article, and that was a book review. And this is an interview. So branching out a little bit into different formats here. It's the New York Times Magazine this week, not the New York Times specifically. It's under the umbrella. All right. Amon Anis has experienced a turbocharged version of the ostensibly good and indisputably awful that can come with being a star in the world of online content creators. By the way, if you're new to the Friday stream, I read the article to you all. So for those of you who have attention difficulties, maybe this is an easier way to process an article than reading it yourself. But absolutely feel free to stop me or to interject any thoughts you have on the article. As we go, I will stop, I'll highlight your comments, and if I have anything to add, I will add that too. And hello, Hazel Wormwood. So Amon Anis has experienced a turbocharged version of the ostensibly good and indisputably awful that can come with being a star in the world of online content creators. Itself a turbocharged version of the volatile, attention-hungry digital world so many of us are living in. Best known by her screen name, Pokimane, Anis, an approachable, puckish on-camera presence, is the most followed woman on Twitch, a live streaming platform favored by gaming enthusiasts, having amassed more than 9 million followers. She also has more than 23 million followers on other social media and video platforms who eagerly consume her posts about her emotional ups and downs, her responses to fan prompts, and when the time calls for it, her endearing attempts at viral dances. That's the good. That's pretty good. You know, she's sharing parts of her life, living her life, and people are responding to it. The bad is that she has been a frequent target of misogynistic comments and a lightning rod for gossip, and most egregious was forced to suffer the indignity that occurred when another popular gamer was caught streaming while his internet browser showed that he had been watching my brain doesn't want to say that word, pornographic deepfakes of Anis and other female gamers. So that's really humiliating. Nothing that's her fault at all, but she is on the receiving end of this awful humiliation just for existing as a female in public in an online space, which is totally unfair, right? It becomes so easy for people to burn out or lose touch with themselves, says Anis, who is 26, just 26, little baby, about the psychic toll of building a career as an online personality. Trying to figure out how to make this feel more sustainable is very interesting to me. And I think burnout is a great word for being an online content creator, even at the tiny level that I do YouTube. I don't have millions of followers or whatever. Burnout is still real. content creation takes a lot of creativity to keep coming up with ideas that are going to keep people engaged. And that is exhausting over a long term. And it's also the kind of job or hobby where you can really put as much into it as you want. And it can become like a 24/7 thing. Also losing touch with yourself, not keeping a boundary between your private life and your online life, or having people invade that boundary and cross lines and stuff like that. That's, can be very damaging very damaging. I don't know if the article mentions this, but Pokimane started streaming when she was like 16, which feels relevant. I learned that from her video with Healthy Gamer Gigi, who does like the pseudo therapy sessions with Twitch streamers. That's right. Yeah. I've seen that channel before. The guy who was watching the deepfakes was also like in a Twitch social circle with the women he was watching, and his girlfriend was with them, which is so sick. Totally. I feel so much for these girls and women. As someone in their 30s, I feel like I have a healthy awareness of internet permanency, whereas I feel like these younger ladies don't really realize that all the stuff they're posting, OnlyFans, etc., while they're promoted and lauded, will definitely affect them negatively. And I think with the younger, like Gen Z and younger too, they never had that experience of having a life offline. Like their whole lives have been online and been involved with the internet. So they don't have an appreciation for that there's this world that exists offline. And all of their friendships, even real life friendships, have an online component to them too. And when they use the phrase like digital native, and that's supposed to be like a good thing, like they're so in tune and intertwined with the online world and social media and everything, and they grew up with that as their primary experience of the world, that's actually, I think, a really negative thing, because they'd never got that experience to just look at the world not through a screen. Green Emerald says, I was on Twitter when the deepfake thing happened, and the amount of men shamelessly defending it was disgusting. I believe that. Gamer nerd dudes are literally the worst. I'd never associate with the male version of myself. Porn sick man, children, incels. So the sustainability, I mean, so many people have walked away from massive platforms. I mean, that is just very, very, very common. Also there's no real like ebb and flow with being in the limelight when you're an online creator, especially these people who have millions of fans. There's always the expectation that you're going to be continuously producing content like on a regular schedule. And that's versus like, say, a movie star, TV star or something like that, where, they make a movie, they do press, and then they retreat to their like mansion in California, or they do a season of a TV show and then they get some time off where they don't, this is, like I'm saying, 24/7 job of having people comment on you and just being the center of discussion. As long as you're producing content, people are going to be talking about your content, and that's quite a lot to deal with. That, again, unlike legacy media of TV and movies, there's never like a break and an ebb and flow to this lifestyle. And that's why it's not sustainable for a lot of people. People are really entitled to free content creators. It blows my mind. Yeah. There wasn't much hope before, but deepfakes are such a point of no return for society to me. definitely a thing that's keeping a lot of women offline, and for better or worse, online now, it's the public square, it's where we all get together and interact, and the threat of being a victim of deep fakes, and I know that there are some gender critical women who've been targeted by trans and had deep fake pornography made of their faces and voices and stuff like that. I just try not to think about any of that stuff. You know, it is what it is. I know that deepfakes have ruined some women's lives, have impacted their careers and stuff like that. Now, they historically have been pretty fake looking, but yeah. Anyways, it is really scary, but like again, it's a way to keep women out of public conversations. And therefore, it's a form of oppression, right? If only men feel safe posting themselves online, then that's how, it's just another version of a burqa or something. It's just another version of like Taliban, just keeping women at home in this very specific role where we're not allowed to participate because that we're going to be threatened with horrible, horrible stuff. Are deepfakes a type of AI generated face recreator or something? I know a little about it from Star Wars, recreating the faces of old actors, but now it sounds very accessible to the average person. Yes, it is the technology. Anybody can access it essentially now. And like a very simplistic version of it, if you want to think about it, it's like Snapchat filters, or something like that, where it just maps your face and it sticks a different face on it. So it maps whoever's face that is. That's a good point. This is why sex work is empowering such a brain dead take. Certainly one reason why. If it were true, deep fakes wouldn't ruin women's lives. And Use of Strawberry says it's terrorism. Changed my mind. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Hazel nailed it down. It's like, well, men can't control themselves at all. So women just got to stay out of the way, out of work, out of public, off the internet. Right. Instead of men controlling themselves, because that's impossible, which, by the way, that's actually a dehumanizing way to think about men too. That's the other side of, women are dehumanized in this misogynistic society, sexist society that we're in, but men are also dehumanized in this way, right? Not to hashtag not all men, but when we see men this way, this is a in essence a dehumanized way to see men too. Instagram, Snapchat, and snow filters messed up women my age so bad. God help us. Yeah, and then that's the other thing. Filtering. I mean, women do it to themselves too, filtering their face to add makeup and to remove any flaws. That's very, 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 very toxic. All right, so let's continue on. So this is an interview. So the bold is the interviewer's question, and then the not bold is Pokimane's response here. The way that technology and our culture are going, your experience with online misogyny is probably just a heightened example of something more and more women and girls are going to be dealing with in the future, or already are. I'm sure it's even just a matter of time, if it's not happening already, before sexually explicit deepfakes of classmates seep into the social lives of school-aged kids. So as someone who's been dealing with this stuff for a while, how do you navigate it in a way that doesn't leave you feeling completely cynical about online gender dynamics? So a little footnotes over here on the side. The streamer who had been watching deepfakes of Anis later apologized on his stream Anna says he also apologized to her through a friend. And a deepfake is a digitally created photorealistic image or video depicting something that did not occur in real life. And so her response to that is, honestly, there are people in the streaming industry who don't find misogyny deplorable, who don't think it's a big deal, who don't think deep faking should be punishable in any way. It's almost like they're trying to gaslight you into thinking that something that is so damaging to one's mental health, you shouldn't think it's a big deal. For me, it's been invaluable to have fellow female streamers who know what I've gone through, who can validate my feelings. Having people there to tell you, no, it's not okay, that goes a long way to preventing you from going crazy, thinking that what you're feeling is somehow wrong. Welcome, Ginny. K-pop idols use snow to make themselves paler and lighter because tan skin is seen as bad. Their Korean fan sites also alter the idols' pics to make them lighter. So for Pokimane, it's having fellow female creators who can relate and empathize. And I think that having communities of women like we've created here is actually such an important way to cope with being online. And it makes it a lot more, the online world is so male dominated, and just like she's saying, there's an attempt to gaslight women into believing all of this stuff is normal, and that if you have a problem with it, it's just your problem, and that you need to change your mentality instead of society needing to change. And yeah, her having a community of women that she can talk to and relate to has been really important for her. It's honestly surprising to hear the top female Twitch streamer, or no, okay. Okay. It's honestly surprising to hear the top female Twitch streamer even speak the word misogyny, considering her audience. Good for her. Yeah, like misogyny is even a word that, we're not supposed to ever say that, or we're not supposed to ever say that men are ever doing anything wrong. No, it's like it's actually the system that we live under. Expired Milk says that's a good point, Reed, doing this to classmates. I guess now people post pics / videos of their faces online all the time. I've been online since I was 12, but usually in a depersonalized sense. And I've heard that from so many women. Oh, women shouldn't put their face or their voice online. And I have so far, refused to not do that, because it's like I feel like I have things to say. I have valuable things to say. I have an audience who is interested in hearing that. And I want to participate in this world that men are free to participate in without overthinking all of this stuff. And we, men are capable of silencing us, but we're also capable of silencing ourselves. And, I think that can be just as damaging. And yeah. It's your problem reminds me of my dad telling me to lighten up, for sure. Okay. Do you think being immersed in the gaming world has given you any insight into young men's attitudes about women that other people might be blind to? So the whole, I don't know if any of you have had this experience, but hearing the way men talk amongst themselves when women aren't around, or there's no woman listening, if you got a group of 6 or 7 guys and you drop one woman into the mix, they're gonna totally change the way they talk, but I've had the experience a few times in my life of being sort of a fly on the wall and hearing the way that men talk when they're just around other men, and it is very shocking. It's very different, and I don't know if any of you have had that experience, but when men are not censoring themselves, it can actually be kind of shocking and perhaps frightening to, be around men uncensored. Hey, Paxton. Paxton says, yes, men love to say lighten up. It's just a joke when women rightfully react to their problematic behavior. Very true. I was always the female friend in nerd groups, and yes, sometimes they forget you're there, and it's shocking. Oh, this is nice. That's why I finally put up a PFP, especially for this community. Wanted not to be as anonymous. Appreciate that. At first, seeing all the misogyny was a bit confusing and surprising. I was like, have young boys always been this way? But the accessibility and anonymity of the internet allows for these things to happen. A very interesting thing that I've experienced, there's this thing on my channel called unban forms, which is basically if you get banned because you say something weird, you can send in a form where you say, I apologize, will you please unban me? The amount of young boys that say something when they're X age, then 3 years later, they're like, I'm so sorry. I have no idea why I said that. And I've changed a lot. It leaves you thinking, was it puberty? What happened there? It feels like they're testing things out. Like I'll say the craziest, weirdest stuff and see what happens. This is all still unprecedented territory. So young kids need to be taught how to treat people online. But since I've seen people realize that things they were saying weren't okay, it does make me think that there can be more redemption stories out there. What I think of when I read that is like prank calling people, which I did when I was like 10 or 11 years old or whatever, because you're sort of testing the waters as a person, a young person, like you want to get a reaction out of people or whatever. But the internet has, created this environment where you can do this on such a scale and you can really get, legitimate emotional reactions out of people. And you're anonymous. You never have to take any accountability for it. And you can just sort of laugh in the corner of your bedroom while you're torturing people. And I don't think that, 12 or 13-year-old boys or 10-year-old boys have any kind of emotional or mental maturity to realize that their actions actually can have real consequences on people. And they may not realize that until they're 30 years old, and maybe they never realize that and they never care, because that is the nature of some men, but and women for that matter. But I think it's just like prank calling people, but with a different level of technology, that the consequences, can be much worse. I mean, the fact that this technology to create deep fakes or to even, view pornography when they're 9 or 10 years old or whatever is available to these kids, this is just, it's so unprecedented, and it's really leading to very shocking things. I'm wondering if this behavior is more common in preteen boys online rather than teenage 20-somethings. Yeah, I feel like even by late teens, 20s, like they probably some of them hopefully have outgrown that behavior. But then I think also the rate at which people slash boys, maybe slash girls, I don't know, at least boys, the rate at which they're maturing, I think is much slower now. It's much more stunted because this online world really just coddles people to stay sort of immature. And maybe it's actually the opposite for girls. They have to grow up a little faster because they're being exposed to predators like earlier and more. So this is true too. Like the online sphere, women are so dehumanized. I think probably much, 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 much more. It's way amped up compared to like real life. And so boys are seeing these dehumanized versions of women from the time they start using the internet, you know? Yeah, my experience is men of all ages will engage in this behavior. There's one guy, and I think he's a TikToker, and I've seen him on the Shorts feed, but he does these videos where he shows like, it's like on Instagram or whatever, where it's like a picture of a 10-year-old girl and all the responses about how, sexy she is or whatever. They're all from like middle-aged men with like their own faces, their profile picture and stuff. So yes, there's creepy men of all ages. Irene says men of my age are still trolls. They don't always grow out of it, to be honest. Ginny says, on the topic of Pokimane, she was involved in a controversy a while back where she went on stream with no makeup, cute males harassing her over it, saying she catfishes her audience. I hate gamers so much. Did I finish this? Yeah, I guess I did. Okay, so here's Iman Anis being honored at the Shorty Awards in 2018. It's already 5 years ago. Time flies. You've been doing less streaming lately, instead making more content for YouTube and TikTok, where the demands on your time aren't as all-consuming. You don't have to be sitting there playing a game 8 hours a day the way you do on Twitch. It's so interesting that YouTube and TikTok are less time-consuming than Twitch, because to me, like, streaming is much easier than actually making like YouTube videos. But then again, I only do it like 2 hours one day a week. I'm not doing it 8 hours 5 days a week. And I actually think that would like physically injure me. Is the hope that making content for those platforms will feel more manageable? And the side note here is each of which okay, so YouTube and TikTok allow users to make videos of varying lengths and at your own pace rather than focusing on live streaming as Twitch does. So Twitch is pretty much just live streaming. I know that people can make clips out of their stuff or whatever on there, or like users can clip other people's stuff, but it's basically just live streaming. Whereas, YouTube actually has quite a variety of, oh yeah, 8-hour stream. People do like 14-hour streams on there. What I was saying was YouTube has quite a variety of formats now at this point. I mean, like, you guys know that I use the community posts pretty regularly. I probably do more community posts than any other kind of content, because for me, that's just like the easiest, not like the easiest, but it's like when I have an idea or something that I want to share, it's just like I can jot off a community post in 5 or 10 minutes. Whereas if I were to try to make a video on the same thing, it would take me 10 hours. And I know YouTube is like a audio visual platform or whatever. And like community posts are more like a blog or something, but that's what works for me. Then of course, there's also the shorts, regular videos, and streaming, as I'm doing right now. So, yeah, this stuff always generates really good conversations. And yeah, I mean, that's why I do YouTube. YouTube has a lot of functionality. It has a lot of options. And for me, it's the only social media I use. I don't use Twitter. I don't use Facebook or Instagram. I stopped using Facebook around 2017 because I just felt that Mark Zuckerberg is really an evil person. I did not want to support him at all. Shortly after Facebook acquired Instagram, I also stopped using that. And yeah, I think Twitter is just like super, super, super toxic. TikTok, I don't use. I view enough of that content on the YouTube Shorts anyways, which like I find fairly addicting. And yeah, I don't know. TikTok to me, it's like, it's totally addictive. Why would you even play around with that? It's like, I wouldn't try heroin either. You know what I mean? Because I know. Okay. C says, I've noticed that for interests that are considered masculine, like gaming, women who are more popular either sexualize themselves or have sexualization forced on them by male viewers. Interesting. It's probably kind of like every genre, women are sexualized or sexualize themselves. Like pretty much, are there any genres of content that are free of that? Like, I guess there are some more like wholesome, YouTubers and stuff where but looks are always part of it. And who is that for, So yeah, I think you're right though. It's definitely to kind of like roll with the boys or something, you in a way you have to like be more girlier, which is really weird, yeah, or if they're not conventionally attractive, they get trolled to hell. When you type Pokimane into YouTube, the suggested searches are twerking and thick compilation. Yes, that is really messed up. Okay. Okay, so this is her response to that question about whether YouTube and TikTok are more sustainable than Twitch, which demands so much on your time. Excuse me for a sec. My voice this is my usual voice, but I like to pretend it's just allergies or something. It's not. This is just my voice. I don't view things like one platform is better than the other. They're different. For example, Twitch, you have live positive and negative feedback. So the highs can be higher than they are from a positive YouTube comment because somebody is interacting with you in real time. And those lows can potentially be lower because you can have hundreds of people coming into your chat and you are being berated by all these people at once. So I've experienced that too. Higher highs and lower lows. I mean, one thing I'll say is that streams are definitely meant to be like experienced live. And I do get people watching the streams after the fact and stuff. And I'm like, the whole point of the stream is like to come and interact. And like, I can talk to you all in real time and stuff. And it is very gratifying. It's can be really super fun. And yeah. But then, when you make a video and you put a lot of work into it, and you really kind of polish it as much as you can, then you create a piece of art that can live there forever, kind of evergreen, generating views. Whereas again, like a live stream is really best experienced live. But I'm not making this change because it's easier or better than other platforms. It's what my heart yearns for. That's good. Definitely follow your heart when it comes to any of this stuff. In the past, I was trying to fit my life around all of this work, but now I want to look at it from the perspective of fitting my work around my life. So some footnotes here. Last year, Anis was subjected to a hate raid on Twitch. A hate raid is a coordinated effort to swamp a streamer's chat with negative comments. Again, why do people do stuff like this? Like, you really have to have like no life. Like, what is going on in your life? Like, I just feel, man, I feel sympathy. more like sympathy towards people. Like, get something going on in your life. There's this whole big world out there. You could travel, you could exercise, get fit, you could cook food, you know, you could find a hobby, find people in real life to interact with. This is just like the worst possible way you can spend your time, actually. You could get a job. So she says, in the past, I was trying to fit my life around all this work. And the footnote is an example of which would be the time she spent living in a house, reality TV style, with 3 other popular Twitch streamers. Anis moved out in 2020. So a content house, which to me is a total, like, that's my nightmare. I would put content house right below being a boy mom in a house with only boys and a husband. That's my pure nightmare. Being the only woman in a house. But anyways. But now I want to look at it from the perspective of fitting my work around my life. If I want to travel, let me bring you along. If I have a particular interest in pottery, let me showcase that instead of focusing on gaming and streaming. That's cool. I want to evolve as a person and not limit myself so much, and share that evolution with my audience and hope they come along for the ride. Not it doesn't always happen that a creator changes their content and the audience goes with it. Just a reality. I want to develop a sense of self, values, morals, and then attract an audience based off those things, as opposed to doing it almost the opposite way, where I see what the audiences are responding positively to and then pander to that. Hazel says, and on Twitch, a raid is when one streamer ends their stream and diverts their audience over to someone else. So it was probably led by some Twitch scrope too. Paxton says, I used to watch Twitch, but I remember I logged into my homepage and the recommended stream was a video of some women taking a live shower in their bathing suits. Had nothing to do with gaming. Yes, good old hot tub Twitch. Very progressive and not misogynistic at all. YouTube, like, what's the line? Yeah, I mean, I would say what you can see on Twitch is a lot closer to pornography than anything you could find on YouTube. There is actual like XXXPORN, if you know what to search for on YouTube. There truly is. I have seen it. I'm not gonna mention search terms or anything like that, but yeah, YouTube has work to do as far as figuring that all out. But Twitch is much more overt. It's like, oh, we're supposed to be this platform that kids can use and stuff, and that's right on the front page, like the hot tub stuff. I mean, that's like a full whole category. And they say it's like, oh, what do they do? Ask you, are you 18 plus? Like, sure I am. I just got home from 6th grade and I'm logging onto my mom's computer, and sure, I'm 18 plus. Like, they have no way of confirming that. Where have you felt a disconnect between who you are and whom people saw online? That's definitely happened when people have pushed these negative narratives about me, and like, oh, she's fake, oh, she's a B word, or people thinking that I'm just trying to make money off my viewers. Well, if it's your job, you should be trying to make money. That's what a job is. So nothing wrong with that. If people have a problem with that. That's a funny thing about being a content creator, though, right? You are trying to make money off your audience. This is when I talk before I read ahead. And obviously, sometimes you have to behave in ways that you wouldn't be behaving if the audience wasn't there watching you. You and your audience are supposed to operate as if that's not the case. Yeah, it gets very meta. Of course, we need to make money and you are doing it by putting yourself in front of so many people. So sometimes when I'm not actually happy, I'll try to seem happier than I am. Of course, it's social media. Everybody does that. Does that make me fake? All human beings are, at some point, you might be able to say they're acting fake. Of course, it's like, I don't know. The first word that comes to mind is like code switching, but it's kind of like that, just sure, it's camera turns on and you put on a smile. Like, who hasn't done that? That's kind of very normal, I guess. There are times where I try to be nicer than my emotions or my instincts really want me to be. And that might come off as disingenuous to some. I understand that, but I feel like it's part of the job. Yeah, it's a job. It's a job. So, so here's what it looks like when she is streaming. Before you were talking about wanting to grow as a person, you said you wanted to develop your own moral sense and sense of values and then be able to attract an audience based on that. You also said that you wanted to try something like pottery. You want to be able to bring viewers along. In both instances, you were talking about personal development stuff as a means to professional ends. For you, are they ever not? I get what you mean, but my confusion is why something like the pottery example seems like a career end. In my perspective, I'm prioritizing natural interests and hobbies that if I then choose to share, I can. The way that I used to lead my life is like I spent almost all of my time either streaming or working on things relating to streaming. Now I'll work if I want, and then if I want to pursue any interests, I will. And if I want to share those, I have the opportunity. I guess my question is whether you draw any lines between your life offline and your life online, or maybe that doesn't matter. There is definitely a line that needs to be drawn. Relationship matters, familial matters. Those are things I typically don't share. When it comes to personal interests, what I try to do is I'll have on days and off days. If I'm just taking a day off and I go do something with my friends, if it's pottery, biking, it's an off day. I'm not going to film it. But the other way is like, for example, pottery is something that I've mentioned to my audience. I think I featured it in a vlog. Then I was thinking of making a video out of it. But when I went to make the video, I noticed that having a camera took me out of the flow that is required when you're making pottery. So yeah, it's partially a learning process and partially some things you should just keep to yourself. And like I started doing YouTube. I started doing YouTube 7 years ago, and I used to make vlogs that were like follow me around style vlogs. And I thought, periodically I'm like, I want to make vlogs again. I want to make vlogs again. But it gets really toxic. Like it took me a long time to figure that out. And it was like a whole process that it's much better to just kind of have a topic and stick to that topic and do it in this sort of semi-professional way or whatever. That vlogging, first of all, the novelty of vlogging has kind of worn off. Unless you're already like a famous person or whatever, nobody really cares about your boring life. So, but the other thing with vlogging is that, yeah, it's like you no longer have any boundaries and you think that everything you're doing should be the way that I used to feel about it was like, and this is literally had like 100 subscribers or something, but I was like, if I'm not going to film, then it's not worth doing something. Like, so someone would be like, do you want to come along? We're going to do XYZ and some fun thing. And I would say, well, I want to go, but I feel like if I go, I should film, but I don't really feel like filming. I just feel like doing the thing. But then I'd be like, but then I'd be missing out on an opportunity to film. And like, it just got really jumbled and messed up in my head. And actually it like kind of messed me up for a while. And it took a long time for that feeling to go away of like, if I do something interesting, I should be filming it for content. And now I just pretty much live my life. And like, if I make a YouTube video, it's like an essay about a specific topic. And that's so much better. I don't have to worry about like, oh, I got to have the most interesting lunch ever so that I can film it and people will be interested in it. Like gets to be like a very demented way of thinking. Otherwise, it's easy to lose your sense of self. Exactly. Was just saying. Hi, Lydia, by the way. I think that sometimes the way that I separate public me from private me is kind of a defense mechanism. Like the things that people are saying about Pokey, not about me. But obviously, what I put out there is connected to me. I work on myself as a person so that I can then put cool things out as Pokey, but I still have to keep in mind, even from a PR standpoint, how would people perceive me doing XYZ? It's weird. All right. It's very easy to see the world of streaming gamers as basically one big social and emotional minefield. But can you tell me about the good side? What do critics miss? For me in high school, as an immigrant coming from an immigrant family, there were certain values we upheld. To some extent, I felt like my household was a bit, quote unquote, stricter than other households. It wasn't as acceptable to be out late or go to parties or do these things that I saw my friends in school doing. One of the ways that I was able to cope was to game with other people online and socialize that way and have fun and build friendships without having to do things that my parents weren't okay with. Not only that, but growing up in the town that I did, okay, so her family immigrated from Morocco to Canada when she was a child, and she grew up in St. Catharines, Ontario, a town not all that far from Niagara Falls, and then went to McMaster University nearby Hamilton, where she studied engineering. I knew maybe one other girl in my entire high school who liked to play video games. Being able to connect with other people who are interested in the same thing as you is so validating. That's the best thing that you can get from the internet. You can find like-minded people. That's such a beautiful thing because as human beings, at the end of the day, all we want is to belong. So I like that she points out some of the positive things about the internet, not just the negative things. So I have another little article here from the New Musical Express. I'm going to close that one. Pokimane says simp hate reinforces sexism and misogyny. I thought this was pretty interesting because I have definitely thought about this topic before. The way that men who are actually nice to women on the internet or outwardly nice to women on the internet, they get kind of hated on, right? They get called simps. They get bullied for being nice to a woman. Well, what's a simp? It's just someone who's like nice to a woman rather than degrading or nasty to her or whatever. Hold on, I'm getting me switched up. The simp thing is just wild. Not only do men harass women online, they harass other men for not harassing women online, right? So it's such the norm that women are harassed online. If you don't do that, you also get harassed for that because it's going against the crowd. Ooh, I've unironically had friends who dated guys so low value. That's a whole other topic, whether guys can be low value or high value. That they would say they didn't want to do XYZ nice thing for them, buying gifts, paying for dates, because that's simping. Awful. It's awful. Okay. The streamer was addressing the ban of someone that went through a simp hunting phase. God damn it, it's creepy, isn't it? It's creepy. I like her setup. I have the the streamer setup. But my lighting and everything is inspired by the world of Twitch. Amon Pokimane Annis has spoken out against simp hate online and said that it's a sexist way of looking at the issue that reinforces misogyny. The Twitch streamer addressed simp hate during a ban appeal segment of a stream yesterday, as Annis was looking at a user who was going through a simp hunting phase when banned. Spicy take, high value men don't exist. There's only a tolerable level of maleness. You said it, not me. The curse of womanhood. You're either too something or too little of something. Simping is when you're nice to your girlfriend or any woman. The information I learn here reinforces my avoid men as much as possible lifestyle. I got a good topic about simps. I'm gonna have to look up the name of the case, but I was watching a lot of true crime this week, and let me finish this article and then I'll talk about that. Anyways, the banned user was calling others in the stream simps, which typically refers to a male who is overly desperate for a female despite there being no reciprocation, with Annis explaining why simp shouldn't be used as an insult. Isn't it weird that young boys are being told simping is so terrible? If you're doting on a woman, it's so terrible. But it's not, says Annis. The streamer added that simp hate is sexist and that reinforces so much low-key misogyny. Throughout my entire career as a female streamer, I have sensed on numerous occasions my male counterparts or male friends being afraid to stand up for me because they will be labeled simps, Pokimane added. How else can you describe that but some weird internalized misogyny? Well, it's not really internalized, it's actually externalized, but yes, I get her point, right? It's high key externalized misogyny. Hey, Jonah Bark. It's not too late there. Annis is making the point that anyone can technically simp for anyone else, but that online culture has turned the idea of being generous to someone of the opposite sex or sticking up for them into something that makes people weak. Interesting. Someone being generous to someone of the opposite sex. So that simping is not specifically male to female, which I would call the other direction. You know, Nigel or whatever. Like, and what's the difference is that men are not oppressed. So say what you want about men. It's the, misogyny, androgyny, like, is that the male version? That does it exist? Does it really exist? I don't know. Back in 2020, Twitch actually banned the use of the word simp in a derogatory or insulting manner, and this includes emotes as well. If the term is used in a harassing manner, it can lead to action from the streaming platform. Okay, so that was a very short little article about simping. And let me see if I can find this thing that I was watching, I'm watching true crime on YouTube. I saw some really good ones. I don't know if anyone's interested in that stuff. I saw a really excellent one about this girl who got into the wrong car. She was trying to take an Uber in South Carolina, and she got to the wrong car, and she got K-worded. And I saw a great documentary about that. But there was another thing that I saw. Let me try to find it. Okay. Yes. I'm just going to pop open the Wikipedia page for this guy because this story is crazy. Okay, let's share this tab instead. Okay, I don't know if anyone's heard of this case, but this is like the wildest thing ever. Okay, and this guy's like younger than me too. Damn, wow. Grant Amato, born 1989, is an American M-worder who was convicted of familicide that occurred in 2019. He shot his father, mother, and brother, I think it was his twin brother, at their home in Florida while attempting to stage it as an M-word, S-word committed by his brother before fleeing the residence. He was captured after a 24-hour manhunt, put on trial, found guilty, and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Before the murders occurred, Amato had developed an infatuation with a Bulgarian model and cam girl, Sylvia Venceslavova. Great job, Lisa. Who went by the alias Sylvie online. Amato used some of his father's and brother's money that amounted to $200,000 to pay to attend her webcam sessions. He attempted therapy and treatment by going to a rehabilitation center. After a week of treatment, he returned home where he argued with his father over continuing to contact Sylvie. This argument was later revealed to be the deciding motive for the M-words a month later. So, that is wild, isn't it? Has anyone heard of that case? Oh my Lord, I read about that and I was just like, okay. And he was a nurse. He was a nurse too. But he had some issues with work. He attempted to become a streamer on Twitch, mostly by playing video games and live streaming. After the family paid for equipment and streaming setup, oh my God, I wish, Grant Amato not only pretended to become a Twitch streamer when he was actually visiting pornographic websites, including the site My Free Cams, which is where Amato met a cam model named Sylvia. He would pay tokens by the minute for her virtual company. He would spend up to 4 hours a night on the website, buying up to 5,000 tokens at a time, costing over $600. Sylvie's shows would cost 90 tokens a minute. Grant assumed a facade as a rich and successful gamer, sending her various lingerie, as well as paying an exorbitant amount for her time. He would steal credit cards from his family, claiming they were starting up his Twitch career. Within a few months, he had spent $200,000 of his family's money on Sylvie. Okay, I feel like maybe simp is an appropriate way to describe this guy. As much as we just talked about how it's a sexist term and everything, like, whoa, right? Whoa. His family, like his caring family, sent Grant to a rehabilitation facility for PR and an internet addiction, which cost them $15,000. He was allowed to return home after a couple of weeks, but was given a zero tolerance ultimatum, and Grant had to get a job and was prohibited from having any contact with Sylvie. However, he was able to convince his mother to let him use her phone and make contact with the webcam model. Upon learning this, Chad ordered Grant to pack up his things and leave the house. And he K-worded them over that. Bam. Oh, simping. Big time. Yeah. I like how men can't distinguish between buying their girlfriends a gift and spending $200,000 on a cam girl who's only associating with you because you have money. Imagine birthing and raising a child, pouring so much love into a single human, and it's Son turns out like Grant Amato, another reason not to have sons. I prefer it. Desperate creep. Imagine grifting money for Twitch streaming, but you end up using that money for simping. Women also fall for romance scammers, and they're not called simps. Yeah, okay, so what's the verdict? Are we allowed to call men of that caliber simps? Maybe we just don't use that word at all, but that is totally mind-boggling to me. I just, like, his caring, loving family, it totally deranged. I mean, there's just like no normal mental health stuff going on at all there. A female simp would be a pick-me. Very interesting. Oh, thank you. You guys are so nice. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Hazel. Hazel Simpwood. Oh, man. Hilarious. I mean, not like hilarious, but like not hilarious. It's just, it's like mind-boggling. You know, it's like that nervous laughter. Yeah, the word I'd use is psycho. It's so outside. Okay, so I like I said, let me get rid of all these windows I've got open here. Okay, great. I went on this like little true crime binge this week, and I guess I could tell you about some of the other stuff I looked at, but I was you know, Existential and I were talking about the algorithm in the comments last night, because I was talking about this diet stuff or whatever. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit later, but my algorithm picked up stuff about Nicholas Cruz. This stream is like totally getting demonetized, by the way. So thank you again for these super chats, because that'll definitely make up for that. But yes, Nicholas Cruz, like that. When you watch stuff like that, you're just like, these men exist so outside the realm of like normal like human brain capacity or something. You know, they're just so, their brains aren't normal. And then you're like, oh, well, we share spaces with those people. We share online spaces and we share real world spaces, and we kind of have to. That's like part of being alive, right? You know, it's like terrifying. You really, the only way to cope with that is to just not think about it. That's what I do. I just don't think about this stuff. But you know, once in a while I go on like a little true crime binge. Are these guys comparable to NEETs? Girls can be NEETs too. Can't remember if we've discussed that here or not. I don't think we've ever talked about NEETs. So for anyone who's not in the know, it's not in education, training, or school or something. Not in employment, education, training, or school or something like that. You can tell me exactly what it stands for, but something like that. So it's like people who are like unemployed, not trying to better their lives, just spending like tons of time online. And that's not healthy either. And I feel like the internet, it kind of gives people that way to spend their time. Like before the internet, you know, I guess you could watch TV all day or something, you know? But the internet's a little more active like that, like than that. It's not as passive as TV. You can actually be part of a community. Maybe you can be a content creator yourself on some small level, like the way that I do. I happen to have a full-time job, so this is purely my hobby, but there's probably a lot of overlap between guys who spend all day online salivating over women and guys who don't have jobs, just kind of by the necessity of that. When you watch TV, you're not actually interacting with anyone. And that's like, the internet has that illusion that it's like a real thing, right? Because it can supplant, is that the right word? Like actual human interaction. It can be a sort of replacement for actual human interaction, which is not really healthy though, because it's not actual human interaction. In a ways, I think that TV and movies and stuff like that is actually much, much healthier media than the internet, because you are not, first of all, you're not endlessly scrolling, you're not consuming like random stuff, and you're not having any like weird negative interactions with people. You're just like consuming one bit of media. I find it hard personally to get through a movie or a TV show because my attention span is so messed up. But yeah. So I don't know. We got tons of time. Whatever else you guys want to talk about, if you want to keep going on this topic of conversation. Radical sent me a video. She's in Montreal right now. She sent me a video of the racetrack. And so, I'm very excited for her. Miss her. I don't think she'll watch this, but thinking of her, thinking of Radical. My headphones are like, I can't hear anything. Okay. Let's see. Online socialization is supplemental, but not an actual replacement for real life interactions. 1000%. The pandemic really messed things up a lot. And it happened at this time when the internet was becoming already more and more a part of our lives. And then to socially isolate people, especially this group of kids growing up, kids who were like, say, 12 years old in 2020, and they're 15-year-olds old now, that is got to be really damaging, and I say that as a person who was like very pro lockdown myself and stuff, and mainly because I'm super paranoid about any kind of germs or illness or whatever. I was just like, can we please get this thing over as quickly as possible? I guess I saw lockdown being the route to that, not have this virus spread or whatever. Anyways, not to get too into COVID talk, but basically, like, even coming from a person who was like in favor of that, seeing how damaging and isolating it was for kids and everything, you have to wonder, the good is the good outweighing the bad there, We will see in years to come. I think it's going to be like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you get sick and your fingernails stop growing, and then you have this line where your fingernails grew as they grow out, this line that shows that you were sick. It's like that. It's like this traumatic thing we all experienced as a society, and as time progresses, we're going to see this ripple effects of it coming down the line, Weird analogy, but first thing I thought of came to my mind, so that's why I said it. Lockdown kids have no manners, complete savages on public transport. Yeah, there's a lot missed with socialization in the real world. Not to mention ElsaGate and parents not monitoring anything. Oh, you're talking about on YouTube or whatever, the fake videos on there and stuff, the AI generated stuff. Yeah, kids growing up, people of my generation, existential, you're about my age, like you get this too, that like we didn't grow up with an iPad in our hand. Like at worst, they sat us in front of Disney movies, or TV, which to me, like TV, I always watched Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers and stuff like that. Was pretty darn wholesome. So, I see certain things on YouTube and I'm like, wow, a child could access that. That actually should scare all of us, especially us adults who know like the consequences, even as an adult, of seeing that kind of stuff. Hyper violence. I remember as a kid, if you saw real violence, like snuff type violence, that you would that it would be shocking. And now it's like, oh my God, nothing shocks me anymore. But I'm 40, so I can't imagine reaching that point at like 10 years old. That's scary. And like I'm saying, that should scare all of us. The kids, they're just growing up with such a different threshold for seeing, for violence, and also for seeing women as objects, for, seeing pornography and stuff. My sister's 16 and she seems surprisingly okay. She has friends and is doing well in school. I don't know about younger kids though. COVID and TikTok are responsible for how things are now. I totally agree. I also think TikTok there's so much misinformation spread on there. It's really the new Facebook as far as spreading misinformation. My parents were older, so even if I'm young, I grew up with just go outside and stay there to dinner. Yeah, it was pretty much us too. Spent a lot of time outside in the woods and stuff. One of the subreddits that I have read consistently is r/nosurf. And you get these people on there who are like, I spend 18 hours a day on TikTok. I spend 16 hours a day on my phone. And they don't want to do it. They're just addicted to it. They, and I've talked so much about internet addiction. I don't want to use my phone. That's the definition of addiction, isn't it? I don't want to use it. I don't want to do it. I suffer negative consequences from it, but I can't stop. They've designed all of these things to be maximally addictive. And I would never, ever touch drugs. I would never, ever touch opioids or meth or anything like that. I would never even go near it. I've never gambled once in my life. I would never gamble ever. I've never bought a lottery ticket. I've been to casinos, but I've never gambled ever. And the reason is because I know it's something people get really addicted to. And I don't want to get addicted to those things. I don't want to get addicted to drugs. I don't want to get addicted to gambling. When someone put a phone in my hand, I've had a smartphone since like 2012. No one said this thing is addictive. This thing is like heroin or meth or a casino. Yeah, I don't drink coffee either. I don't like to be addicted to anything, right? I don't smoke. I don't do any of these things. I never would, because I don't even want to. I want to just be myself. Like that's the reason I don't drink coffee, is I want to wake up and feel like myself. And I have been addicted to coffee before, and you have to have coffee to feel like yourself. And I hate that feeling. Oh, this is me totally. The power goes out, the Wi-Fi goes out. It's an awful feeling. It's like a physical addiction. And no one told us that about phones or social media or anything. And that's the reason I've never used TikTok. I mean, obviously I watch YouTube Shorts, so that's essentially TikTok, just ported over here. And that's bad enough. And I've scrolled the shorts for like literally an hour at a time. And then my mind just starts to go, so like, yes, okay, prohibition. I don't drink alcohol either. Couldn't even tell you the last time I had alcohol. Same thing. And I agree, prohibitionists were right. This is, if you read about actually if you read about the climate of alcohol use prior to prohibition and how devastating it was and how much alcohol people were consuming. And it was so extreme, and the societal problems it was causing, and still causes to this day, by the way. Like, it's so similar to the way that people use the internet now. It's that level of just devastation to people's lives. Sorry to proselytize, but quitting caffeine was the most life-changing thing I ever did. Love to hear it. I recommend people try it, at least. I've seen what TikTok does to people, so I've banned myself from ever going on it. I agree. I've heard many, many stories of people saying, I'm hopelessly addicted to TikTok. So why would I use that? That sounds awful. TikTok is also very likely to lead to parasocial relationships with creators. As someone who also struggles with internet addiction, one good tip I have is to never multitask. If you're watching something on YouTube, you have to watch it full screen, eyes forward. That's a very good. Yes. I mean, I've said it so many times. I would love to, get into watching TV or movies, but like I get 15 minutes into a movie and I feel like I have to check my phone. Yeah. Oops, quitting caffeine. I want to do that too. I'm also addicted to nicotine though. That's a tough one. I would say weaning off, but it's hard. Anyone with any addiction that they don't want, I totally empathize. Any addiction, any level, because again, it's just something you don't want it. It's hurting you. It's hurting your life. And you can't stop. Movies are easier to watch when you're not alone, I find. Yeah, I think one issue for me is, I moved away from city or whatever at the beginning of COVID, and I never went back, and I'm still here. And it was supposed to be like a temporary thing. And it is, where I live in the middle of the woods. It is pretty isolating here. I have groups of people that I get together with, but like, I also work from home. So it's just a lot of alone time. And the internet does give you that outlet of like feeling like you're with people. I feel like I'm with people right now, So it's very hard to. It's just, I feel like for so many of us, just intertwined and integral to our lifestyles. It has this sort of toxic quality that it can kind of take up your whole life. I have this app on my phone that shows you how much, you use your phone or whatever. I'll just show you if I can. It's actually a great app. Would recommend, called Your Hour. And I use my phone a lot less than I used to. But I think, okay, so I've had this app since October of 2021. So that's almost 2 years. But this is how much I have used my phone in 2 years. So that's the total. That's the total amount of screen time in less than 2 years. 81 days. 81 full days of my life. And I don't even use my phone that much anymore. Maybe I do an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. But I'm on the computer a lot. So, hey, Zay. I'm truly worried for the kids raised by iPads. They're truly missing out. And I feel like they won't make as many connections / be in touch with reality. Totally agree. This is a thing. If you go in public, you go in a waiting room. I mentioned this in the last stream that I got x-rays like a couple weeks ago. And I actually find it very embarrassing to be on my phone in public because I just feel like it's like really cringy. So I try not to use my phone in like waiting rooms and stuff like that. But you look around and everyone else is glued to theirs. And that's why I think it's like once you notice how cringy that is to use your phone in public. And also to me, like I see it as this addiction. I don't want to like do my addiction in public. Like I find that very embarrassing in a way, even though I talk about it or whatever here. But to be amongst strangers, like I wouldn't like I'm in the waiting room of the the x-ray place. I wouldn't just like go to the side table and just start dumping out some cocaine and like snorting cocaine in public. You know what I mean? Because that's what I feel like that is using your phone in public is like doing cocaine in front of people. To me, it is something that I feel like public shame about. But I mean, it's literally what it is, though. It does the exact same thing to your brain and body. You know, I don't think you're gonna have a heart attack from binging your phone the way that you might with cocaine. But there's a lot of even the physical side effects of using your phone are really, really, really similar to cocaine. It's a stimulant and it keeps you stimulated. So oh, Lydia, this is more lighthearted, but I'm so addicted to chess. Like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm also playing chess on my phone. That's hilarious because I'm like a big chess head. I actually used to play on a chess team in real life, over the board, as they say, OTB. And yeah, big chess lover. That's hilarious. Anyone else like chess here? It's the game of kings, as they say, the best game ever created. There are more potential outcomes to a chess game than there are atoms in the universe. Amazing fact of the world. Also, did you know that you can, every time you shuffle a deck of cards, that statistically, that order of playing cards has never existed before. Look it up. True fact. Every time you shuffle a deck of cards, that is unique. That order has never existed and will never exist again. All right, so there is one other topic I guess I want to talk about. I actually prepared a little something. Let me grab this. Or if anyone wants to introduce a topic, go for it. I'm having fun. I feel like we talk about internet addiction a lot because it's kind of the evergreen topic that like never goes away, you know? Let me see. So I made a community post about this gal last night, and I really feel compelled to make a video about her. She has 50,000 subscribers. I think her channel is growing quite rapidly. She must be getting promoted in the algo. Let me see if I can share my screen. I can't play videos. Unfortunately, I can't react to videos. I don't have enough internet bandwidth. We are getting fiber optic internet, but that's probably still 6 months away. It's coming though. They're doing like our whole area. So let me share my screen though. We can look at her front page. The lying fruitfluencer. That's who we're going to talk about. Okay, let me see. Choose what to share. Okay, there we go. Paige Shay. Okay. Now, we had a little bit of a discussion in the comments. I posted about this gal. I think her page is extremely disturbing. So also trigger warning, if you're like affected by this stuff, do not be triggered. Go away now. I will not be sad. I watch after yourself first, please. Oh, you know, a bunch of people have talked about this, the idol. I forget, maybe it was Irene. Somebody was saying react to that because it's like really messed up or something. I haven't heard of any of this TV. Anyways, okay, so this gal, Paige Shay, I just want to like comment specifically on one thing. Again, I can't, this is so weird. I eat more food than most men. That's so weird. Your diets are really should not be like sex-based. Something feels totally off about that to me. She has this video. I'm just gonna okay, so this was the video that really like messed me up when I saw it. It's called What I Eat Fully Raw, Salt-Free and Fat-Free. So just from that title alone, your diet should not be salt-free and fat-free. Salt and fat are like, okay, also I should preface this by saying I'm not a dietitian. I'm also not a doctor, and I'm definitely not your doctor. So, you know, disclaimer, if you have questions or issues, talk to an actual medical professional. I'm just like a person who like has common sense, okay? What I eat fully raw, salt-free and fat-free. It's like a 30-second video. You can go watch it and then come back to the stream if you want. I can't play it. Again, I don't have bandwidth enough to play videos. But I'll describe it. I'll describe what she eats in a day. What I eat in a day. Okay, so let's share this tab instead. Okay, I did a spreadsheet. I added up what this looks like. This is how I spend my free time. This is like how bothered I was by this thing. So she says that for breakfast, she eats half a watermelon for breakfast. Okay. I'm into WFPB stuff and I believe in it, but I don't understand raw vegans and anti-salt people. I don't know what WFPB is. I love you salt too. I have a condition where I have to eat a high salt diet. So like this would probably literally kill me. But anyways, she eats half a watermelon for breakfast. Now, a watermelon, average watermelon is 14 to 18 pounds. So I went on the low end of half a watermelon. That would be 7 pounds of watermelon for breakfast for one meal. And the average person eats 3 to 4 pounds of food in an entire day. Oh yeah, whole food, plant-based, love that. Nothing wrong with that. Great. You know, that's totally fine and like healthy, but like it, you know, it can be part of you got to have the whole healthy picture. Okay, well anyways. I feel like this was just me making a spreadsheet based because I'm like, okay, let me add this all up and see how out of the realm of nutrition, like what she's describing is, right? Watermelon is mostly water, so it's good. It's hydrating, right? Overwhelmingly sugary. That's another aspect of this. So anyways, let's just look at it. Okay, so she eats half a watermelon for breakfast. Like, can you even like fathom that? Do you not get like palate fatigue and stuff? Like just eating tons and tons of the same thing. I mean, that honestly makes me want to gag. That's 21 servings of watermelon for one meal. It's 370 calories, which is not an amazing way to start your day. And 95 grams of carbs and 15 grams of fiber. That was the other thing I said about this. My God, was it not like kill your colon? How would you ever leave the bathroom if you ate like this? Lunch rolls around and Paige eats 11 mangoes. 11 mangoes in a row. 11 mangoes. It's not even just a fruit diet. It's not even like a fruit salad. That's the thing that kills me about these diets. And I honestly believe all this stuff is like just insanely fake. That's 4 pounds of mangoes. This is where she's getting the bulk of her calories for the day, is from the 11 mangoes. Snack, 5 oranges, a banana, and some blueberry juice. Dinner, a green salad with just, some like bell pepper and stuff in it. Basically, no dressing, nothing. Just salad greens, essentially. That's like no calories. Okay, that's not nutritionally substantial macro-wise. Getting tons of micronutrients and phytochemicals and all that stuff, that's great. Yeah, this is not a balanced diet, okay? 2 nori sheets, like just even including that is so insane. Like that's so eating disorder-y right there, just to say like, I had 2 nori sheets, half a papaya, and a banana. So that's dinner. It's like she's kind of tapering off towards the end of the day because she's probably so sick from what she ate earlier in the day. Fruit gluttony. I know she's on the toilet 24/7. And this is not to make fun of this girl or anything. The reason why, like, I'm not gonna, this is clearly disordered eating. It's clearly disordered eating, but her branding and her sales pitch is that anyone can eat like this, and you should, and you should do it to be skinny. Like that's her whole thing and that's what turns it from being like, hey, I'm eating this diet and I need help and I've got this disordered eating and please, I need your empathy and sympathy and compassion and whatever. And I'm totally willing to extend that to someone in that situation. Instead, this is a weapon that she's putting out. The other girls and women will watch this and say, she can do that. And look, and she is extremely thin. She can eat that way and be super thin and healthy. Also, thank you. Promoting disordered eating needs to be criticized. That's what it is. So, because I know that was a little back and forth in the comments on the post I made yesterday of like, oh, this is a person who's sick and hurting and like, no. She's promoting this as a way to get thin. And that's actually against YouTube terms of service. So anywho, let's look at what it adds up to be. So it's 2,000 calories, which is actually not bad for a day. She's an active 20s-year-old woman. I'm guessing she's in her early 20s or something like that. So being active, she does have videos of herself like weightlifting and stuff. You probably would want a little bit more than 2,000 calories to maintain your weight. She also looks really small. So, you might get by with 2,000 calories. Fat, okay, you have to eat fat. Fat is part of a healthy diet, right? Fat's an essential nutrient. You have to eat it. It supports brain health. It helps you absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are fat-soluble vitamins. You cannot absorb those vitamins without fat in your diet. So you cannot eat a fat-free diet and be healthy. You will have brittle bones. Your hair will fall out. Your teeth will fall out. All that kind of stuff. So yes, thank you. I don't think it's heartless at all. If you promote something like this online, like I said, this is a weapon. This is promoting self-harm. It's showing self-harm in a positive light. And like I have done so, like my whole thing is to promote self-love for women and encourage women to love themselves and stuff. This is the total opposite of that. And it's really, really, yeah, alternatively, it's a grift. Like, again, I don't think anyone could eat like this, especially every day, because you would be sick, right? You can't eat a fat-free, salt-free diet. You will die. Like, you will literally die. Anyways. So you need fat in your diet for immune health. You need it for bone health, for brain health. You can't eat a diet with 6 grams of fat. That's the little tiny bit that exists in fruit, right? Sodium. You have to have sodium. Sodium is an essential electrolyte that's in your blood. Without sodium, you will get hyponatremia. Your brain and body tissues can swell up and balloon up. It's essential for the functioning of your life, for your nerves, for your nerve impulses, for your heart. Sodium is a totally essential electrolyte. To promote a salt-free, fat-free diet is insane. It just goes beyond all common sense. You don't have to be a dietitian. You don't have to be, a nutritionist or a doctor or anything to know that this is insanely unhealthy. Carbs, about double what you're supposed to be getting for a day. Carbs are good. Carbs are also essential for a healthy life. Fiber, again, almost triple what you're supposed to be getting. You will never leave the bathroom if you eat this much fiber. You'll be in pretty much agony, I would think. Sugar. There's no recommendation for fruit sugar. Added sugar, you're not supposed to have more than like 30 grams a day or something like that. Fruit sugar, there's no limitation because fruit also has fiber, so it slows down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream, blah, 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 going too like granular with this. Anyways, protein, obviously fruit like actually does have some protein. However, it's not enough. If you're working out, you need someone of her age and size should be getting probably at least 46 grams of protein a day. Protein is very dependent on your size and your activity level. You don't want to get too much. You don't want to get too little. You want to just get the right amount of protein. So that is Paige Shay. And she's super smug about it. It's all like, I do this and you should do this too. So it's like, do this first thing in the morning, flush out toxins, 3 creative ways to eat less salt. That may apply to some people, but I don't know. I haven't watched like a ton of her videos, but everything I've watched of hers has been just very, very creepy and really wrong and just promoting disordered eating. Eat more, way less. Eat more, way less. Well, that's called bulimia or binge eating disorder or whatever. Definitely flushing. I do believe I commented on one of her videos. You're so concerned about toxins, and she wears makeup in almost all of her videos. Like, you're so concerned about toxins. Stop putting toxic shit on your face. Oh boy, that's what I have to say about that. Nothing wrong with eating fruit as part of a healthy diet. I have insulin resistance and metabolic issues, so personally, I don't eat much carbs. Basically, if it doesn't come from a vegetable above the ground, I don't touch it, but that's me because it helps. Yeah, and well, that's the other thing too. Everybody, their diet and their needs and their size and activity level and any health issues they have, your diet's so individually tailored to yourself that like showing that what I eat in a day is just so kind of irrelevant and useless, especially when it's like, here's what I eat in a day and you should too. And that is the vibe of her channel for sure. And I think it's really toxic. I don't know if it's something that I have the, I felt pretty fired up about it when I was thinking about it last night. I was like, could I make a video about this? Maybe. Speaking of, I did work on writing, and I'm making a video. I am doing it. It's kind of a review of this movie, Bama Rush. And it's a little bit about sororities and how sororities are like cult-like and just various different things. And I'm pretty excited about it because I haven't written anything in a while. And I spent a few hours doing that this week. So maybe by next week I'll have a video up. I know it's been over a month since I posted anything. I'm just enjoying the Friday streams. And we also had a lot of fun with the games last weekend. We played The Quarry and we played Life is Strange 2, which that's still up on my channel. And we'll probably play that again this weekend, hopefully, if we can figure out time to do that. There's a registered dietitian that makes videos critiquing influencers and celebs and their weird what I eat in day videos and fads. Yeah, I think I saw one that was critiquing Dr. Dre. And I was thinking about her when I saw this page. I don't know if anybody knows Dr. Dre. When I saw this Paige person, because I actually had a good friend, or when early in YouTube, I made friends with a girl and we kind of almost became like friends offline, but we're basically friends online. We're friends on Instagram. We used to like talk DM and stuff. And she was like a huge Dr. Dre fan when Dr. Dre had like, I don't know, 30,000 subscribers or something. And she turned me on to her. But I know this girl, she had a major eating disorder and she was so in denial about it too. But it was like so evident to me, like being her friend, that she had a problem. And she watched Dr. Dre for Thinspo. And that's like super messed up. Yeah, the dermatologist. And then I know Dr. Dre gained weight and she got a lot healthier seeming. And then I hadn't seen her channel in a while. And after I was looking up this Paige person, I went to look at Dr. Dre's channel and I was like, oh, damn, she looks pretty bad now. Again, I'm not saying that to like comment on, I mean, I know I am commenting on a woman's appearance. I know that's not really like normally what I do around here, but it's just more like, I know people watch those channels for Thinspo. And that's why it like hurts to see that out there. You know what I mean? My friend has full-on orthorexia, works out 6 hours a day, gets cysts on her feet because of it. Yikes. Never eats because she hates eating, but then fixes on food and conversations. And she always fake diagnoses eating disorders in other people we know. It's weird. Feels like a cry for help, but I can't openly talk about her without getting defensive. Yeah. Well, some people, if someone does a what I eat in a day video and it's clearly disordered eating, obviously you can't diagnose someone who's you're not a medical professional and they're not your patient. But it's like, I can say that diet is not representative of a healthy diet for an average person. So unless you have some exceptional circumstances, you can at least say that much. It doesn't fit. Hey, look, I crunched the numbers. I made a spreadsheet. It doesn't fit anywhere near what a normal diet is. And, and I'll say that about this Paige person too. Her face looks like one of those faces. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Those of us who have had eating disorders / and/or have been around women who have its specific look And it's a reaction of your body not getting enough calories. Orthorexia is so insidious because it's under the guise of being healthy. Yep. And I do think, veganism hides some of this stuff sometimes. A vegan diet can be a balanced diet as long as you're getting B12 supplements or shots or whatever. That's the one thing that vegans really can't get in their diet. But I see that stuff, and it's like very tough to watch, I think, to see that. And to know that, you like, I look at Eugenia Cooney's channel. I pretty much like check in with her channel once a month, like many people, to see if she's still alive. And that's another heartbreaking one, and it's heartbreaking when you see her comments of people who said, I've been following you for years and you were the inspiration for why I had an eating disorder. I found a multivitamin alone prevented any vitamin deficiencies, and I've been vegan for a few years. It's ethically motivated for most vegans, I know. For sure. I have talked, I've talked about how I don't eat a lot of meat. I try to be ethical in my meat purchases. I virtually never eat pork because there is essentially no ethically raised pork in our country. I only eat cage-free, free-range eggs that are humane certified, et cetera, et cetera. Try to eat local meat and eggs when I can. I basically don't eat dairy because I'm lactose intolerant. So I think you can eat an ethical-ish omnivore diet. And, especially here's the thing. I would say, if the reason for eating vegan is ethical, that's great. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I would also look at how and where your produce is sourced from, because a lot of it's not just animals that are treated unethically in our food system. It's also workers, farm workers, and just because something is organic doesn't make it ethical either. And I'm not saying like I do any of this perfectly. It's like a total minefield to try to source anything ethically these days when it comes to like human ethics. But yeah. I had a coworker who's hardcore vegan. She confided that she used to be bulimic and does not eat. I feel like we've touched on every non-monetizable topic of this stream today. Is there any other spicy topics? We have 10 minutes left that we want to get into. Any other spicy? We talked about the M word. We talked about the P word. We talked about ED, simps. Gather all the spice in one video, and we'll come back with a nice squeaky clean stream next week. I don't have any topics for the stream. Again, I'll thank Female Hysteria, who's still here, for today's topic idea, which was about ladies on Twitch. And if anyone's got any ideas for a stream next week, ooh, Right to Die. What is your opinion on Right to Die? Sure, I think if somebody's the end stage of an illness or something, and they're just waiting around and they're in excruciating pain, why not? Why not? Have fun at work. Don't work too hard. That's what I always say. Don't work too hard. Take it easy, take it sleazy. Anyone have any TV recommendations? I will, hopefully we'll be back to play Life is Strange 2 sometime over the weekend. I have no idea when that's going to be, though, because I'm not really sure what my brother's plans are. So if he's around, I'm going to force him to stream with me. I fear right to die might be exploited by unscrupulous family/government. I think that's probably not a rational fear. I feel like that's probably quite unusual. I'm honestly neurotically fixated on the fear of being unable to die when I need to. Interesting. So I'm very pro, but it's hard to know where the line should be. I feel like I like try not to think about I try not to think about any of that. That seems like quite a Ooh. That is a spicy topic. That's a extra spice. Four chili peppers. Black Mirror. I saw I've seen a few episodes of Black Mirror. I saw the one where the politician has to have sex with a pig or else something bad's gonna happen to his family or something like that. That was pretty disturbing. I know I've seen a few episodes of it, but it's probably been quite a while. Yes, it is a drag. Being human, knowing your time is limited consciously, is a drag. For sure, but it's what makes being alive wonderful too, because it's precious. If it went on forever, isn't that the whole story of vampires, right? They get pretty bored. So you just have to enjoy it. It's a miracle of science and improbability that we're here. So you have to just enjoy it. That's the first episode. The episode with Miley Cyrus is good, reminiscent of Britney Spears. Okay, I'll write that down. Some families get crazy when inheritance is on the table, or when your parents cut you off after you gave $200,000 to a Bulgarian stripper. No, nobody can agree on anything. All right, final thoughts. Covered so many great topics today. Want to thank you guys for joining me for another Friday. I've kind of gotten a sore throat over the course of the stream. Hopefully that's nothing. Station 11 was a good show. Life after a pandemic kind of thing. Okay, that sounds interesting. I actually have a list of like TV shows that I want to watch. I've been watching this space show called For All Mankind. First season was great, but has gotten a bit soap opera-y since. Yeah, I need something that I can just like get into that's gonna occupy my time. I totally agree. Disagreement, it's A-okay. It's the spicy spice of life. It's okay. Yes. Don't have to agree all the time. It is the spice of life. It's what makes this a multi-dimensional experience. Yeah, final thoughts. I'm reading a book about climbing Mount Everest, a true nonfiction right now, and it's just making me want to go to the mountains and climb a mountain. And maybe that'll be the next phase of my life, climbing mountains. I read a book about, funny enough, because we were talking about prohibition and how evil alcohol is. I read a book last week for work about the sort of like brewery industry and all these people who own different like breweries and distilleries and stuff. And it was such a great book that I was like, I want to open a brewery. That's what a great book can do. It can take you away to a place that you never never even thought you'd, find interesting or whatever. Total reading rainbow moment. Lydia says, I finally found Right Wing Women by Andrea Dworkin after 2 years of looking. I'd like to read that. I've never read it. I think it's a really interesting topic. Oh, despite the memes, I'm curious what the overall message of the upcoming Barbie movie will be. I think we need to take a movie field trip because I would really like to see that film as well. I love Frances Ha is such a good movie. If you haven't seen that, I don't know what its streaming service it's on. Oh man, that is just such a freaking awesome movie. And it's directed by the same woman who directed the Barbie movie. And it was her first movie. And it's just perfect. I love that movie so much. It's just totally accurate portrayal of female friendships in the real world. Totally perfect. I feel like I did hear about this. Did you hear about the dude who got rescued from dying on Everest? That was like really recent, wasn't it? I think, was it a guy or was it a woman? I can't remember, but yeah, I feel like that happened like super recently. They like literally marched him off on their back or something. I don't know the details of it though. Everest is a total mess and I would never go there. Yeah, anyways, but I feel like I do want to climb a mountain. Rad Femme Barbie Movie Club. All right, we've hit the 2-hour mark, my friends. And I thank you for joining me this Friday afternoon. What a wonderful experience it is to have this place to share. You're all so wonderful. I love reading your chats. Truly the highlight of my week in a lot of ways. And I will be back next week. So I need a topic. Feel free to scour your, whatever you're interested in and let me know. I have a few ideas, but I really like to do something kind of positive and uplifting, if that's like at all possible. I thought about maybe doing in the community posts like a Woman Crush Wednesday and posting like just about a cool woman every week, or like maybe a cool woman from history or something. That's kind of an idea I had. That's kind of what I have the energy for doing right now. Or maybe it would even be a good video, highlight a woman that I think has a cool story, something like that. I got ideas floating around, but I would love, love, love to hear any ideas you guys have. So that's what I'll leave you with. Homework, come up with ideas for me. I hope you all have a great weekend. We will probably be streaming video games this weekend. So hopefully I'll see a few of you kind faces around there. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye. Take care, everybody. Bye.